14 before 8. In this segment, we focus on your financial investment options. From our friends at the Unit Trust Corporation, we have in studio Research Manager at the UTC, Wendy Bishop, and Simone Lampkin, Investment Center Manager. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
Red, white, and black. There we go. Happy Independence. We can still say that. All right, we're talking about specifically focusing on unexpected illnesses and how we should prepare ourselves financially for that, because I mean planning and proactivity is the way to go. Let's start with you on that, Wendy.
Yes, it is important that you plan for these unexpected illnesses, because if you don't, it will be a financial burden on you and on your family. Paul, in life there are 4 major events that can impact our finances significantly, and they are retirement, home repairs, the children education, and of course unexpected illnesses. This morning, Simone and I are here to talk about a topic that people don't usually talk about. It's not a dinner table discussion. People don't like to talk about it because it is so unsavory, and more than that, they don't even plan for it. And that is why we at the Unit Trust Corporation want to implore that you start planning for these type of illnesses now. Some person will say, why now? I'm only 20, but you don't know when you're going to fall ill. And when we did our financial well-being survey back in 2011, of the 60% that saved, only 40% saved for emergencies. So we want to ensure that when you do go before a doctor, and a doctor shared this with me, and the treatment, they can't afford the treatment. We don't want you, Trinidad and Tobago, to be in that situation. We want you to be prepared to afford the best health care there is. And
people need to understand, even the public health institutions, there is some cost involved.
Yes.
You have to buy medication, you have to buy support services, etc., etc. Simone, let's reconcile, and I'm going to put it in different categories. A mother and father putting aside for their children, because kids get ill.
Yes.
A 20-year-old starting to work and understanding that you're going to have illnesses along the way. A 40 to 50-year-old understanding, well, I need to start putting aside money for when I get older, because my healthcare investment will start to increase as I get older. So let's start with those categorizations, because they have different meanings in terms of our financial lifespan.
Well, Paul, good morning again.
Good morning.
But let me just start off by saying one of the things that we all acknowledge when we are saving or we want to put aside something, we want to talk about a rainy day, right? So we all talk about this rainy day. But what is this rainy day really and truly? So for some of us, we're just thinking it might be in the event that I don't have a job, I may have at least something to cover expenses and stuff and the like. But for a young person who is now starting off, he or she needs to consider that at the end of the day, this is a reality. We see in the investment centers an increase in death certificates. And when we peruse them, we see diabetes, we see heart failure, we see persons who would have been suffering for quite a while. Sometimes you see cancer, and in chatting with some of our customers, they tell us that in 1 month's time, 2 months' time, they would have been diagnosed. So at the end of the day, it is something that because of our lifestyle, we all need to consider it. So for a young person, he needs to start as early as possible.
So you might as well have the mindset it's going to come in some way, form, or fashion at some point.
Correct.
Yes, but other than falling, being in a plane crash or dying in your sleep, everyone will get sick.
At some point in their life, but different levels of severity.
Yes, and so we want to ensure that you budget, even though you have to save for your other financial goals. We want to encourage you to save for this event, this unexpected illness that will come before you. This eventuality that will come before you. Yes.
What sorts of financial options have we for these? I would imagine there would be ones that, while giving you options to some sort of percentage growth in it, they have quick access and quick, easy access. So what are the options available in terms of instruments?
Well, the thing about it, Paul, is that you really need to have a diversified portfolio. So you want to look at saving instruments, CDs, you want to look at our unit trust accounts, real estate. Some of us will go into stocks and shares, mutual funds. But last but not least, we also need to consider insurance. Some of us will have our own medicals with our place of employment, or we may have our own personal medical insurance. We also want to consider whole life. So at the end of the day, you need to have a range of instruments that you have available to you, because for the young person, you certainly would need to plan for inflation. For the middle years, you need to consider short-term instruments, because, as you rightly said before, this is a period where you tend to see all the aches and pains coming to fore. So you need to plan for all those things. So at the end of the day, Paul, we advise that you have a diversified portfolio. You look at where you have your investments, where you save, and you come in, if you wish, you come into us, and we will help you in planning that as well.
Wendy, let's talk about the issue related to how you balance your other investment with the issue of providing for possible illness, and the fact that, I mean, different people will be faced with different cost related to whatever they're diagnosed with. I mean, you can't predict what you're going to suffer from, and you can go a range of mild, moderate, or significant impact on your health.
A good place to start with that, Paul, is look at your medical history of your family history. So if you have a history of cancer, history of heart failure, that's the place to start. And what you need to do is say, okay, I know that I have my children education, because I always want to mention that we at this age are now what we call the sandwich generation. We have to think of our parents and of our children and ourselves. So we have to really do a balancing act. So it starts with our budgeting. We have to budget. We have to look at what our needs are as opposed to wants. We have to ensure that we do either a salary deduction or standing order to ensure that we actually, if we don't see it, we really don't feel it. And thirdly, we need to monetize our skills. If it is we have any skill or talent that we can turn into money, we need to do that, because we can't wait until we are ill and then say, oh, I should have. Because just to share, in 2012, a friend of mine who is 52, she was diagnosed with 2 forms of cancer. I don't know if lucky or unlucky for her, but she had medical insurance as well as some other savings, so that she was able to take care of herself and the treatment that is necessary. How many of us today have that, I'm going to say luxury, or that financial capability? So we want to ensure that you look at budgeting, prioritize your expenses, and also monetize your skills.
How Simone, should we reconcile existing plans, because different employment arrangements have different types and levels of provision, reconciling getting an independent instrumental investment for yourself alongside your company's existing provisions for healthcare cost mitigation, and also even if your healthcare providers has excellent one, still having some sort of backup?
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, Paul, some of us have medicals at work, and we're not quite sure what is the whole package.
We just know we're paying something every month.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we need to know what it is we have and take it from that standpoint. Seeing what I have and then going out into the domain and seeing what is available for me to ensure that I can support, supplement, and bring my financial position to one where, should that eventuality take place, I am in a comfortable position. Right?
And just to add to what Simone is saying, in terms of the medical insurance that we may have in terms of our employee, sometimes it goes up to retirement. We are living longer now. The average age for women, like 74, average age for men, 68 in terms of passing. So you want an insurance policy or medical insurance policy that can take you beyond those years.
Especially since you're going to have more significant medical costs at that age.
At that age, indeed. So you want to ensure that you have one that will take you beyond those years. So in your non-productive years, when you're no longer employed, at least you have medical insurance. Or some form of
and once again, let's go through the range of options available at the UTC. For parents especially, also we spoke a bit about providing for ourselves, but especially when you have young children. And they have accidents, they have illnesses that they have to face. And you, as Wendy said, would have to bear the brunt of that cost. And sometimes the cost of your parents' medical. So what are the options available in terms of providing that wide variety of coverage to different age groups?
Well, Paul, I'm happy that you brought in the children, because we focus on ourselves. But some of us, we see it every day. Parents are raising funds for their children
Barbecues.
To take them all over the world in order to have surgeries and operations performed on them. And at the Unit Trust, we have a range of products. We have the Growth and Income Fund, which parents can get themselves involved in for their children. as well as even for themselves, especially for the young person who would now be starting off. So we have the Growth and Income Fund. Also, for the person who would be looking at myself, and you know, we are in our mature years, we have the our TT Income Fund, as well as our US Income Fund. So we have a range of products. The Growth and Income Fund is a long-term instrument, medium to long-term, and our income funds are necessarily funds for immediate access, and you have access to these accounts abroad, internationally, because they have cards associated with them. So it's the ease and convenience at the same time.
And there's several funds that keep popping up, which means that the funds, so you may be focusing them on providing support during illness. You can also option them at various other points if you have loss of job and suspension of employment. So the funds also offer multiple options in terms of issues that may come into your life.
Indeed, and to add again in terms of the children get into accidents. And under the Growth and Income Fund that Simone mentioned, we have what we call our Student Investment Protection Plan, and that has an accident insurance component attached to it. So we really cater to all through our products. We have medium to long term and we have short term.
Well, more information can be had at ttutc.com.
And you can follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook.
Or go check them out, walk into the offices and ask for some help. Simone and Wendy, thanks for being with us. And all the best. Glad to have you here. Of course, that's ttcutc.com. And I have a feast in front of me. Wendy Barrett, and I have a bet who can cook the best breakfast. And she has a North plate and a South plate. The North plate has pancakes with raisins and cranberries. And she said she baked this herself. And then she has pak choy and guacamole. Her grandmother cooked hard this morning, is what I will say, her mom. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Be safe and keep it right here on CTV.